What's up? We're back. That's right. Comic Book Nerd Nation in half effect. I'm Fox 2, and we got Topher.
That was the informal greeting.
That's it.
That was one step above. Sup, bitches?
Sup, bitches? Yeah, so we've been gone for a while. We're back. But, I'm going to turn up my headset here. This is incredibly low. There we go. Anyway, you got myself, Fox 2, and we got Topher. Pirate is having some technical difficulties with his carrier pigeon internet service. And the whole F and Brian has changed work shifts. So, unfortunately, he is at work right now. And until we get some scheduling figured out, he will not be joining us for the foreseeable future until we figure something out. So some scheduling stuff might change on our end, and we might be a little more periodic, but life gets in the way. But we still love comics, and we still love doing this, so might as well do it at least every once in a while. Am I right, Topher?
Yep.
I mean, just saying. So we're going to talk about this shit anyway, probably.
Right.
You
We're
know?
gonna end up talking about it anyway. We may as well record
Might as well record it and let somebody that wants to hear it hear it.
We may as well make you listen to it.
Yeah, we might as well make your eardrums bleed. So open up your ear holes and let us massage it with our vocal cords.
Oh, sounds dirty.
I know. Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I want to hear it.
Right. Like, all right, and that's it for the podcast. No, I'm just.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and cut it off there. No. So let's just dive in and catch up on stuff. I've been playing the shit out of some computer games lately. I mentioned to you before we got on. I've been playing Pillars of Eternity, which is like a new version of Baldur's Gate or an expansion of Baldur's Gate storyline or something. It's awesome. It's really good. It reminds me exactly of Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 when I was younger, playing them on the PC. Better graphics, obviously. Just incredibly expansive story and options as far as which characters you want to have in your party and how you want to develop those characters. Weapons and magic and I mean everything you could want out of just a hardcore RPG game. Definitely would recommend. I mean, I would give this a solid 9 to 9.5 out of 10 as far as RPGs go. No multiplayer capabilities or anything like that. So it's a
That is completely fine with me.
It's a on your own
when
thing.
RPGs focus on like, you know, you have a good game that's good in its own right, and everybody jumps on the fucking multiplayer bandwagon, and they have to find some way to work a multiplayer mode in there. It's like, ugh, no, just like not every game has to be multiplayer.
I completely agree, and one of the reasons that I bought it, and I told my wife this when I bought it, is that I have a bunch of multiplayer games. I like multiplayer games because I like to interact with my friends and stuff, but scheduling wise, I'm fairly busy. Like most of the time,
on your own every once in a while.
And this is not even just that. It's something that I can play. I can sit down and play for 5 minutes, and if I have to get up and do something, I can pause it. I can come back and I can log another 10, 15, 20 minutes, pause it, go cook dinner for my wife, have dinner with her, come back, unpause it, play for another 30 minutes. You know what I mean? And there's no loss of
other people.
Exactly. There's no. You're not pissing your friends off.
The
it's
game
not
actually stops when you're not at it,
and you're not losing any of the experience of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That really ruins the experience of a multiplayer if you have to like leave in the middle of a game or or step away and you're just AFK and your guy's just getting shot over and over and over.
Right.
Because that ruins it for other people. So that's one of the reasons that I picked it up, and I'm absolutely loving it. So if you're a computer gamer, if you're a PC gamer, definitely get it. It's on Steam. I think it's like $50. It's totally worth it. I have probably 30.
Is it a remake or like a sequel or what exactly?
I'm not sure if it's a sequel. I think it's just a standalone, but it's a thorough story. So, if it is a sequel to something, I don't know where it picks up off at.
Okay.
Like, I don't know where, like, the previous, like,
Well, you
story
said you played
leaves
the
off.
original one? The
Yeah,
original
but this was,
Undertale?
oh my god, it was so long ago.
Okay.
I mean, it
I was
was,
just wondering, like, is this a remaster of the same game?
no,
Like, did they just,
no,
like, update it? Okay.
no. It's a whole new story. It's a whole new everything. And they tell the story really well. Pirates here. Welcome.
Welcome.
So, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff, I would totally recommend picking up Pillars of Eternity. I've also been playing Heroes of the Storm, which is, I don't know, it's a Blizzard game. It's free. It's pretty cool for a free game. It's not really my thing, but it's fun. Payday 2 was the extended edition or ultimate edition or whatever was free on Steam for about a week, so I picked that up and I've been playing that. That's pretty fun. And then I also picked up PlayerUnknown's Battleground, which I think both of you guys would thoroughly enjoy. And I believe I'm actually like 90% sure that it is Apple compatible. But it
sounds super cool.
It's a survival-based battle royale game where essentially it's 100 people, 100, like, it's multiplayer. It's 100 people, and you can either be in squads of 4, 2, or solo. And you just, all 100 people jump out of a fucking plane. Like, the plane is flying over the map. And you can jump out of the plane whenever you want. You can decide where you want, and you skydive down in and parachute into whatever part of the map you want. And you have no gear or equipment or anything, and you have to scavenge through buildings and find weapons, armor, ammo, gas
it's the
cans.
Hunger Games Airborne Edition.
Huh?
It's the Hunger Games Airborne Edition.
Kind of. It kind of is. And then, so then the way that they force combat, because obviously, like, if you gave this massive map and 100 people, like, that could last forever for people to
Get
just
people camping and building.
right. So what they do is they restrict the map after a while. So after a handful of minutes, there's a circle that comes up on your map, and you have to get inside that circle within a certain amount of time, or you start like taking like bleeding damage, basically.
So they pull the floor out from underneath you.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah. That's a kind of a good way of saying it. But they basically force everybody to kind of come together slowly. And by the time you get about 30 to 40 people alive out of 100, it just becomes a shit show. I mean, because at that point, everybody's got armor, everybody's got guns. People might have smoke bombs at this point, or Molotov cocktails or something. And you're all being forced closer and closer to like one group of buildings. And so shit just starts popping off pretty quick. It's pretty fun. It's really neat. You guys would like it. But it's only like $30, and it's pretty simplistic. It's hard though. It's only, as far as I've experienced, I've only had it for 12 hours. But as far as I've experienced, there's only one map right now. It's in pre-release.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like randomly generated, so it was different every time.
No, but it's really big.
Is the gear randomly, like...
Yes.
Okay, because if the gear's all in the same spot...
No.
It doesn't really matter if the levels...
No, it's totally random. Yeah, it's totally random drops of where you can... Yeah, where you find stuff is different every time. And, I mean, you can kind of guess where you're going to, larger groups of buildings will obviously have more buildings, so more chances to find good gear and stuff like that, but also better chances of running into more people. So it's kind of a trade-off from that aspect as far as where you want to like initially start. You want somewhere where you can get something, but you don't want to land right next to some other asshole that's going to come up and punch you. Because you can knock people out even if you don't have a gun. Like, you can run up and just start punching somebody until they're knocked out. So
logical.
My first game, I didn't realize that we were on a team. It was me and... Well, I knew we were on a team. It was me and 2 other people that I know that I was chatting with. The assholes didn't fully explain it to me. And apparently it was a squad of 4. And I'm like creeping around looking for a gun, and I see this dude that like is looking the other way, and I just walk up behind him and start punching him in the back of the head, and knocked him out. Took his gun and shot him in the head with it. Turns out that was our fourth teammate. Just murked him.
So what happens if it gets down to like the only people left on the place is the same team?
Then your team wins.
You win.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like you had to like.
Well, you can play solo. Like you can play solo where there's no teams, but you can still have like a chat to like chat with your buddies and stuff. So you can play against your buddies or whatever. But it's really, really good, and it runs pretty smoothly considering it's not even like it's still in the development stages. He's just the developer of it is wanting a lot of feedback from the community in the development process. So he just basically put out a pre-release and is just letting people go crazy on it, and it's really good.
It's cool.
So
yeah, I've been playing Fallout 4. I bought the season pass finally. Went through, started playing all the shit I was hoping to play while I travel, like remote in with my laptop.
Doesn't work so good.
It works great. Like when I'm on my home network, no problem. When I'm on like hotel
some
Wi-Fi,
shitty hotel Wi-Fi
with getting 3 megabytes speeds, it's not that great. It like disconnects. It's super laggy. I even used my phone as a hotspot at one point and was getting 30 megabytes, I think, download speed, and that wasn't fast enough.
So it's basically impractical unless you have like a really solid connection.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So I was kind of disappointed about that. But
yeah, that's unfortunate.
But yeah, I was playing it again yesterday, going through all the expansions and shit. And when I started playing it, because I was like on the verge of beating it when I took a break from it, because I think one of the Call of Duties came out, and might have been Black Ops 3 or something, I can't remember. But so I jumped back in, and I'm like level 50 or high 40s or something like that, like fighting, and where I saved was right before I fought this big ass sentry bot.
Oops.
And I fucking forgot where I was, like, controls were at and shit. So I started another game from the very beginning just to kind of get, walk myself through the tutorial, so to speak. Then jump back in from a different save point, and I've been doing that. So.
Right on. What about you, Topher? What have you been doing since we talked to you last time?
PlayStation Network just had a sale for the last couple weeks too, and I just bought several like PS4 games. Horizon Zero Dawn, which I've heard from everybody is amazing. Neo, which is like a kind of like a samurai Dark Souls. And then I bought Final Fantasy 15, which I still haven't played yet, and I still haven't really started any of those because I've still been playing Destiny. And I've been trying to, and when my friends aren't online to do our group stuff with, I'm still finishing up Batman Arkham City.
I never did finish that one.
I like that one. That one's been a lot of fun. I pretty much finished the storyline. I'm just going around collecting the rest of the shit now. I've got like, now I just need to find like some Catwoman trophies or some shit. But yeah, I don't know. I've been playing a lot more video games lately. But most of the time it ends up being Destiny. But I did just pre-order Destiny 2, so hopefully I'll be like finished with all my Destiny shit like soon, and I have a couple month break here before the second one comes out in September.
Damn, I never really got into Destiny. I played it a little bit in the beta, and it wasn't bad, but it just, I don't know, the whole space shooter like thing, I'm just not a big fan of. It's too much Halo for me.
I like how smooth it is, like it's a little more fantasy. Like the Call of Duty games never really did it for me. I mean, I never really liked the whole deathmatch concept, where like a game has no permanence. Like I like working on a character, like I have like the RPG aspect of it, having your own gear, having your own talent specs, and something that you can work on long term, like getting something for doing one, because Destiny has PvP, the multiplayer matches, and I like them, but I also get something for doing them. Like I earn more gear that I can then turn around and like use on my character. Like just the long-term character development aspect of it. Like actually having something to work towards. Is more what keeps me playing a game than having just endless death matches, where none of it matters once the game ends. Um,
So when
so
Destiny 2 comes out, is it because I heard that's like a 10 sequel game? Is it like can you carry your character over to Destiny 2?
yes and no. It's not completely clear how that's going to work right now. Like they just did like a gameplay trailer a few weeks ago, um, and they started pre-orders for it, but like it's not even in beta or anything yet, so nobody really knows the answer to that question completely. But it seems like you can bring over your character, but the question is what exactly comes, because you don't get to keep your gear. Like there's like an in-story reason why your home base is basically getting attacked and blown up, and everybody gets scattered, and all your shit was back home, and so like you don't go into it with all the gear you had from the first game.
So maybe like what you're wearing comes, but everything else is gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was the
So
reason why I stopped playing it, was because I got it late, and like it was everybody that I played with was all like what was the highest level you could be? 34, 36, something like
I
that.
think it was 32 back in year one, but it's been 40 now for
Okay. So
a
they was
couple of
all
years.
high level, and I'm like fucking. I don't even think you can do play P2P versus until you're like level 16 or something like that. I don't even remember how it was, but it was something, and I was like, dude, all these dudes got fucking rad shit. I'm getting fucking smoked running around with them. Like,
Just
yeah.
Yeah, well, so I didn't play in year one. The first year that the game was out, I never really got into it. But a couple friends of mine played it, and I mean, honestly, the reason I still play it as much as I do is because like I have several friends that play it, like a close group of friends, and we all play it. So, like we've tried to play other games, and like we played Borderlands for a bit, we played The Division for a while. Those were fun, but like for some reason everybody just keeps coming back to Destiny. It's one that we all really enjoy, and honestly, if my friends weren't playing it so much, like I wouldn't be on it nearly this much. It's a good game, it's a great game, but it is also a multiplayer game, and what makes it fun for me is the being able to develop my own character, like the RPG aspects of it, but then also getting to play with my friends. So I didn't start playing it till the second year, and you could PvP at any level. Like you could start a brand new character and you could jump straight into to the Crucible, which is what they call their PvP modes.
That's,
Um,
yeah.
but the thing with it is that, with one exception, the game modes all scale your level, so everybody does normalized damage. So a level 1 could compete with a level 40 in terms of damage. Like it takes the same number of shots to kill somebody, either way. But the difference is, as you level up your character, you do unlock some of your other abilities and like different talent trees and kind of things. So like you're not necessarily more powerful, but you do have more options as you level up. But I mean, it's pretty easy to hit max level in that game. It's not like the gear chase is more of the end game than like a really long leveling system. So
well, let's start. Let's talk about some news that's happened since the last time that we were on here. I guess we go and talk about the big one first. It's kind of a huge bummer, obviously, but if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously a comic book fan, and you know that we lost an absolute legend and treasure to the comic book community. Adam West passed away. I can't remember what day it was. Los Angeles lit up the bat signal over the city to honor him.
oh, that's awesome. I didn't hear that.
I think actually it was. I don't think it was in the sky. I think it was on the side of City Hall. But
That's
they
cool.
they put that up to honor Adam West. Comic books as we know them today might not be where they are had it not been for Adam West. I mean, I think he had a big role in introducing a comic book character to to that generation of kids during the 66 Batman series that will forever have a lasting effect. And I know all three of us have watched the Batman 66 show and fondly remember it. I know, Pyre, you were a huge fan.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, the fucking Batman TV series was fucking awesome.
yeah.
I watched that shit growing up.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously weren't alive when it was airing, but it was...
it was in reruns.
Reruns were always on. Yeah, I remember.
Family Channel. I used to watch that shit every night.
Oh yeah, I used to watch it all the time too. And yeah, it's really sad when you lose. I mean, obviously that's just the nature of life. You're gonna lose people, but man, that's a big hit to the comic book community. But he will forever be the first Batman that I was ever exposed to, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
You know, I remember as a kid having the 66 Batmobile toy with the pop-up headlights and the fucking, like the missiles that could shoot out of the sides or whatever. To me, that was what Batman was when I was a little kid, all the way up until the 80 whatever year that was.
Super Friends.
No, not for me. I'm talking about the Batman movie. Yep, that's the one. That's the fucking one.
Hold on.
It's got the bumper that pops out.
Mine's here somewhere.
Yeah,
the front pop bumper.
That's not the 66 though.
Does it work?
That's the Super Friends.
This is the Super Friends.
That is the
one,
Super Friends. I think that's the one that I had too. That is the one that I had. So I lied about the toy.
I don't remember where all the fucking buttons are.
They're on the back.
Claws on the back.
They're on the back. If you go to behind the seats, there's two of them. I think one for the claw and one for the front bumper.
This motherfucker still plays with it. Damn, that's awesome. That's dope.
It's like right.
Oh,
there it is. Yes, sir.
There's the front one.
Yes, sir. And then there's another one to make the headlights come up.
Yeah, that's this one.
Bam. Yes, sir.
Mine's missing some of the windshields though. That's the only thing bad about mine.
That's a good looking piece of nostalgia there, Mr. Topher.
Yeah, it's covered in like fucking dust and shit. Luckily, the camera's probably not good enough to pick that up.
Are you missing Robin's hood? Or not hood, his cape?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things were like weird.
Because
they had like horseshoes that like
they had like the little plastic, that went like clipped around the neck.
That is a fine piece of nostalgia, sir. Well done. 10 points to Topher.
But do you have the Hall of Justice?
Oh yeah. We've seen the fucking Hall of Justice. Put your Hall of Justice back. Keep it in your pants. All right. Well, anyway, Adam West obviously will be missed by everybody on this podcast as well as in the comic book community. We wish his family our condolences for whatever little bit that might be worth. I might have to watch some 66 Batman this week after talking about it. Might just have to do it. Next on the list, DuckTales, another piece of nostalgia from childhood that I fondly remember. I don't know. Pirate, did you watch DuckTales?
Yeah, dude.
Topher, were you in on DuckTales?
Oh yeah, dude. I was putting my Batmobile back, and from across the room, I heard you go DuckTales, and in my head immediately I went, "Woo!"
I did that too.
Yeah. So DuckTales is getting rebooted, and it's coming to the air sooner than we thought. It's starting on August 12th. It's going to be airing.
Wow. What's
so
it airing on? Disney?
Man, I'm not sure. You would ask me something like that. I probably should have wrote it down.
Did you ever play the Nintendo game, the DuckTales?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I had it, and you know what? We have a Nintendo. We have a regular Nintendo, and I went to try and get. That was one of the games that I really wanted to get again. That motherfucker's selling for like $100+.
Oh yeah.
DuckTales 2 is worth even more because it was only.
It's going to be on Disney XD.
Okay.
XD. Yeah.
And it just doesn't look the same though. The screenshots that they gave us.
We used to rent that video game all the time. and a buddy of mine had it, and I borrow his, but I don't think I ever owned it, which sucks because now I can't go back and play it without. Well, I mean, I guess I could get emulators.
I have it on. I have an emulator of it.
But I want the game.
Yeah, it's just different.
I know. It's totally different.
Life is like a hurricane.
It's a dark blur.
Oh, shit. We're scoring points left and right today, son.
Every time I get on a plane,
You know about them 1980s.
Launchpad. Every plane ride I take, I think of Launchpad, and I'm like, you know what? You can always fly it. You can never land it. You know, it's like, this time was not a Launchpad fan. Like,
oh, shit.
We were just doing something the other day. We were talking about something on the moon and talking about the moon landing, and somebody made some joke about it being a hoax and conspiracy theories, blah blah blah. And I said, and I was gonna make some reference about, well, then how did RoboDuck build his base up there? And blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, nobody's gonna get this. Like, I just should just not say this.
What was the fucking bank thieves, the fucking sons and mom,
something boys, the
might solve a mystery
Barkley
or
boys?
rewrite history.
That sounds right. I was thinking something with a B. I was at a comic book convention. Doug, you were there. I think it was Lexington, and there was a group of guys dressed as them.
As the DuckTales people?
No, as the bank robbers from DuckTales.
Oh yeah, that was in Lexington.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, of all of the
Beagle Boys.
Yes, of all the comic book conventions that we've been to, I have to say I think most impressed with the cosplay costumes at that one in Lexington. There was some really unique, you go to the Cincinnati Comic-Con and it's like, what movie came out recently? Suicide Squad. There's 900 Harley Quinns.
Right.
You know what I mean? This one really wasn't like that when we went. It was like a really diverse array of different characters, and it was really neat. There was a lot of really good stuff. Video game characters, there was cartoon characters, comic book, all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. It was Lexington.
I would agree with you to an extent on that one as far as walking around, but I think the most impressive ones I've seen, and this is kind of, I guess, indicative to where I was at the time, but
Pornhub.
My nephew,
Pornhub.
No. My nephew, he competed in one of those.
You competed on Pornhub?
No, on
so
one
weird.
of the contests, the cosplay contest or whatever. So I went to the actual judging of them, and it was really more impressive when you see them all lined up together.
Yeah.
So since we didn't see that in Lexington, but then just walking around in Lexington, it was much
better. I thought we saw a lot in Lexington, just considering we just kind of walked around twice and then went to get beer. That's true. That's basically how it went. It was really overcrowded, and the traffic flow was not planned out well. They didn't have enough area for foot traffic. So it was just assholes and elbows everywhere.
Yeah. We'd always end up in the Power Ranger section.
They had more motherfucking Power Rangers making appearances at this thing than I knew existed. I had no idea.
Annoying,
they literally had probably 8 different booths with multiple Power Ranger actors at each booth. And I was like, I never heard of any of these motherfuckers.
Crazy.
I think Jason David Frank was one of them. The OG Green Ranger.
I think I've seen all of them, with the exception of the Yellow Ranger. Now, the original ones at
Trini
at different conventions. Yeah.
Next bit of news: Wonder Woman smashing the box office, giving no fucks, just setting records left and right. I read somewhere that it had the second strongest second week at the box office of any Marvel or DC movie of the past 5 years.
Wow. And it was going up against Transformers.
It was going up against
And then
Transformers.
in its second weekend, it was going up against the Transformers debut week, I
It
think.
was also going up against that fucking Tom Cruise movie,
Oh, the Mummy.
The Mummy. It fucking
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
smashed
yeah,
that shit
yeah.
too.
they're rebooting the Universal Dark or the Universal Monsters with starting with the Mummy apparently.
It's
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
gonna be like some shared universe
It's gonna be
thing or
pretty
something.
terrible. Is what it's gonna be. Based on the showing of the Mummy at the box office, they might want to fucking reboot again real quick.
Well, apparently the Dracula Untold was supposedly the reboot, and it did so horrible that they decided to say,
To
okay, that's
re-
not the reboot. The Mummy's going to be the reboot.
so are we gonna get another Mulligan?
Let's see. Yeah, they've already burned the Mulligan, so let's
Catch
see what they do now.
catch another Mulligan on this one? Damn.
So did you end up seeing Wonder Woman?
I have not seen it yet. I really want to see it. My wife really wants to see it, but as you guys
Guardians
both
too,
as you guys both know, my wife's pregnant, so
right?
going and sitting in a fucking movie theater for
Yeah,
2 hours just doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun to her right now. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I'll just give you a little life tip. You don't piss off a pregnant woman. So
No.
I'm pretty much going to do whatever she wants to do, and that'll be just fine with me.
Did you end up seeing Guardians 2 yet?
I have not.
We never talked about that one at all either.
I have not. I mean, feel free to
Behind.
give a quick review of it. I have not seen it. I'm way behind.
Guardians 2 and Wonder Woman are both great movies. I saw both of them, loved them both. So we can go into we can go into more detail if you want, but I mean the basis is everybody should go see those movies.
Out of give me a quick out of 10 scoring for each one.
Oh boy, man, let's see here. Guardians gets an 8, and we're gonna give Wonder Woman. I'm gonna give it a solid 9.
Really,
I really
better.
enjoyed it.
Honestly, better than Guardians.
I'm giving Guardians 2 a 7. Just
Okay.
because.
They both had some things that I could critique. Guardians, I liked what they did. They took some interesting things from the comics and they found a way. They changed them up a bit, but they found a way to make them work in a way that I was actually really surprised worked as well as it did. So I mean, kudos to them for finding another way to work in some weird cosmic shit, and in a way that movie-going audiences are like, yeah, that's awesome, we want more, instead of, huh, like, because there's some weird shit in comics, we all know
Sure.
that,
Oh yeah.
and they managed to make it work. So I mean, props to them, and it managed to be a a good emotional story. Like there was good character stuff, and it was a really good movie. But I there were still parts of it that I don't necessarily care for the characterization of Drax. I mean, I've said that before. Like I don't I he's a fine character in the movies. It just bothers me that he's absolutely nothing like he is in the comic books. And they completely changed that character. Like they changed his personality, they changed his motive, they changed his race, they changed everything about him. Not except for the fact that he kind of looks like the guy from the comics. They have zero in common, and so it's bothersome sometimes to see the way that they change the characters that I'm used to from the comics. But for the movie, it was really good. The only other big thing the other thing I disliked the most about Guardians 2 was how much the trailer gives away. Really, like you watch the trailer and some of that shit is from like some of the most climactic scenes in the movie, like towards the end, and it's like, why would you show like an extended clip of one of the high points of the towards the end of the movie? It bugs the shit out of me when movies do that. Like I'm cool with teaser. Excuse me, I'm cool with teaser trailers. Like what they do for the Star Wars movies normally ends up being really good because it's just like little bits and pieces of clips and frames here, and you kind of get an idea of the atmosphere and of the feel of the movie and the look of it. But at no point can you kind of construct it and go, okay, here's what it looks like the plot's going to be, or this is going to be one big scene in particular. It's just random images, and then you have like Guardians of the Galaxy, where they show like almost, a full minute of an entire scene that's like, played for laughs in the middle of a climactic scene towards the end, and it's like, this would be way funnier if I hadn't already heard it.
My only gripe really that I have with Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was, for as big as an adventure feel the first one had, this one felt very isolated. It didn't have that. I mean, the story led you to believe there's this grand cosmic thing that's unfolding, but the feel, you feel like you're in one place the whole time. That's the only problem that I had with it.
I can see that. Yeah, in some ways the stakes feel different in this movie because, you're not seeing all the people that could be affected. You're not seeing like people suffering around the universe, and like there's not some giant bomb that's like ticking down or something. But at the same time, the first movie I feel like brought all the characters together by threat of something happening to, the first one was more about the galaxy, the second one was more about the Guardians. Like the first one covered what brought them together because it was a threat externally to everybody else. The second one kind of cemented them as a group, because it focused on what those events in question mean to them personally. And that I feel was like a thematic difference with this one, that I can see like it feels like the stakes are different, but I don't know that they're any less important, because there's still the aspect of, this is going to have severe repercussions for the entire galaxy, but just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And I kind of don't mind that, because too often in superhero movies you get the whole like, giant pillar of light in the sky, like the giant, like this is gonna blow up. You have the villain like standing there weaving some kind of, spell or workings, trying to destroy the universe, and it's all about, and it all seems like kind of almost fake anyway. A lot of times that can be overdone, and it's like, okay, we got the villain, you got some big machine that they're trying to do shit with, and and this time it was like, we're not going to bother showing you like all the repercussions, like just trust us, like it'll be bad. It's more about the characters can't see that. All they're seeing is the villain they're fighting in the place that they're at, and does that make the stakes any less for them?
Well, no, I see what you're saying with that, but what I'm kind of referring to is the fact that even a villain in this one, there's no real clear defined villain into it until like at one point. Then it's like, boom, here's the villain, and then it's like, boom, it's over, type thing.
Yeah.
It just felt like it once you found out who the villain was, shit happened so fast that it was like, okay, now it's over.
It did move pretty quickly, but there was also, I don't know, that didn't bother me so much, because to me it was more about how that status change, and the revelation of who the villain is, how it affected the characters, and to me that was more of the story than what the villain's plot was. It was the characters coming to grips with the situation and how they felt about it and about each other and the nature of their interpersonal relationships. To me, that was the more important part of the story, even though in doing so and coming to grips with it, they're basically once again saving the galaxy.
Yeah.
So back to my original question, you think that Wonder Woman is better than Guardians?
I think it's a better film. There were some things I could complain about. There's a CGI boss battle towards the end that goes a little overboard and is a little, I don't know. It could have stood to be shorter. You could tell that You know, and it's funny. I actually read some stuff afterwards. One of my favorite scenes in the movie apparently wasn't going to be in it. Warner Brothers didn't want it. You know, like I read a lot of stuff about how basically Warner Brothers tried their damnedest to fuck this one up too. Um, Supposedly one of the best film scenes in the film wasn't going to be in it, but the director felt really strongly that it was super important, and she fought really hard for it. And they were like, okay, but I don't know why anybody wants to see this. And it in a lot of reviews, it's been said that a lot of people think that that's one of the best scenes in the film and one of their favorites, and it almost didn't happen because Warner Brothers apparently just wanted to skip straight to the CGI boss fight because apparently they think that watching two immensely powerful superheroes just punch each other is the only thing that matters in a superhero movie. And I'm not sure why they didn't learn their lesson after Batman v Superman, but that's Superman. That's not all we're looking for.
Superman Returns or whatever that is. Yeah,
that's very much a formula for them, and like it hasn't necessarily worked for them super well, but they wanted to do that again. So luckily, I think the film came together very cohesively. The story was really good. The characters were really good. Like I mean, I don't know, like most everything about that movie just worked really well. And it had some humorous moments. It had some a lot of character. There wasn't like the drama versus the action versus the comedy. Like it was a good blend of many things, and they made it work for sure in a way that no DC film has ever done. And just the way I felt like coming out of the movie, like Guardians was fun. It was a lot of fun, and when I left, I was like, yeah, I enjoyed that movie. But like there's some movies that like you had fun, and there's other ones that not only did you really enjoy them, but you think they're like a really good piece of cinema too. And I felt like Wonder Woman was not just a fun movie, but it was a really good film.
Right on. Pirate, have you seen it?
No, I have not seen Wonder Woman yet.
We'll have to table the rest of that conversation for once we get at least another person that's seen it. Everything I've heard indicates that it's an awesome movie, and I can't wait to see it. I really can't. All right, the last bit of news that I have to cover. I'm sorry, it's not comic book related, but it must be covered. I would not be able to. I just wouldn't be able to do it
with yourself.
I couldn't.
Went unmentioned.
I couldn't. As you know, if you listen to this podcast religiously, myself as well as Pirate are both MMA boxing fans. The biggest event probably of our lives, sporting-wise, has been signed. Conor McGregor from the UFC, who is the 155-pound champion and 145-pound champion, used to be 145-pound champion, won both titles at the same time, is now officially fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. in a boxing match in August. Holy shit.
I'm really surprised he finally agreed to it. I mean, that's been on the table for, God, how long now?
About a year.
Yeah.
Which is actually moving pretty fast, given how Floyd Mayweather picks his fights.
It took Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao about 5 years to reach a decision to fight. But this is probably going to be the biggest boxing match of all time. The pay-per-view numbers are projected to beat any other one ever.
Really?
Both boxers are
two sports going at it.
Both boxers are going to make over $100 million.
I mean, it's gonna be a spectacle for sure. But I mean, is it on a technical level? Is it going to be the best boxing match, or is it just going to be a great event?
It's going to be a great event.
Okay.
Boxing match wise, to be perfectly honest, I'm a little surprised that the Nevada State Athletic Commission is even allowing it to happen from a safety standpoint. You have, on paper, the greatest boxer of all time facing a person making his professional debut.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
that's a little questionable.
Are we all in agreement that Conor McGregor is going to get his ass beat?
No, not 100%.
Okay.
There's
a puncher's chance in it for sure.
Well, there's points on it goes deeper than that. That's what makes it really intriguing to me. Is so Floyd Mayweather hasn't knocked anybody out since the 90s, and Conor McGregor is bigger and stronger than anybody that Floyd Mayweather has ever fought.
Were Mayweather's wins decisions? Or?
Yes.
Lots of decisions.
Lots of decisions. He's defensive. He's a defensive fighter.
Okay.
That being said, he relies on his speed to be able to dodge punches.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucker's 40 years old now, almost 41. He hasn't fought in like 2.5 years. And he's fighting a guy who's probably the fastest lightweight that UFC has ever seen, that has a dynamite left hand and is only 28 years old in his prime.
So
I mean, there's a lot of like unknown variables to this that for sure Floyd Mayweather's not going to knock out Conor McGregor. I don't think he hits hard enough. Secondly, Mayweather's never fought anybody as big as McGregor, or probably that punches as hard as Mayweather. Maybe he has, but he's older by a lot, and he hasn't fought in 2.5 years.
His last fight was Pacquiao, wasn't it?
No, he fought Andre Berto, I think, after that, and that was his 49th fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
If Mayweather wins,
He'll be 50-0, and he'll have the greatest record of all time,
which is awesome. But everybody will be like, "Well, yeah, he did a boxing match against somebody who's not a boxer and he won." Everybody will basically kind of say it's expected, But if he loses, then it would be like, "Wow, so he went 49-0, but like he can't beat a non-boxer at boxing. Wouldn't that put his greatest boxer of all time legacy in jeopardy?"
Well, there's a lot of things that have put his greatest boxer that's already brought that to question.
The risk versus reward here doesn't seem like it would really be worth it for him to do.
For sure, the risk is all on Mayweather, because even if he wins, if he doesn't win decisively, I mean, basically, if he doesn't just absolutely school McGregor, then he's going to look like a fool in the eyes of many boxing professionals. I mean, if he doesn't go in there and just put on a 12-round clinic where he just doesn't even get hit and just peppers McGregor's face up the entire time, then people are going to think he's a fucking idiot. But the problem with that is that when you prepare for a professional boxing fight, for his last how many fights has he had ample amounts of video footage to watch, to study how his opponent boxes so that he can prepare a defensive plan. Every time he has tons and tons and tons of fights.
Oh, yeah, I guess you can't there's no film.
What the fuck's he gonna watch? Is he gonna watch his UFC fights where he's throwing kicks and takedowns? Like, that's not gonna work. So there's that whole aspect too of he can't possibly know exactly what to expect, whereas every other fight, he pretty much knows what to expect. Because he's fighting an established professional boxer that has 30-something fights. All of them were on fucking HBO. So you can go get them. You can watch them over and over. Oh, when he throws his right hand, he does this with his left hand, and then he moves his feet like this. You don't have any of that. So all of the things that he pulls from to make him a defensive genius aren't there. So I think it's more than a puncher's chance. I still think Mayweather's the favorite because it's his sport, but I think that Conor McGregor has a fair chance of catching him, and if he catches him, he's gonna motherfucking hurt him. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge wild card.
Not only that, but Mayweather plays the mental game. Mayweather's never had anybody that's played the mental game against him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look at how that fucked up Conor McGregor when he fought Nate Diaz the first time. Conor McGregor was used to being the one pushing all the buttons and stuff. All of a sudden, he fights Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is giving him shit right back just as hard. Nate Diaz ends up finishing him in fucking like 2 minutes or whatever. The mental aspect is a big part of it. So if Conor McGregor can get under Floyd Mayweather's skin, that could be a big thing. That could be a big part of it. And he's already started. He's already started tweeting out tweets saying that he's fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. and sending out pictures of Floyd Mayweather's dad, who's like old and decrepit looking, because he's saying that he's like making fun of his age. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be one for the ages for sure. I'm going to find out if the local casino takes sports bets. I might throw down $100 on Mayweather just for the potential payout. The odds right now are paying 7 to 1. So for every $10 you bet, you get $70 back.
For betting on Mayweather?
If you bet on Conor McGregor.
Oh.
If you bet on Mayweather, in order to make $1, you have to put $100 in.
Okay, I thought you said it the other way around.
No.
Wait, I was like, McGregor's the favorite? Really?
No. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to try and watch it for sure.
I'm sure that'll be that's a pay-per-view thing, right?
Oh, yeah. It'll probably cost $100 for the pay-per-view. I'm sure. So, that's it.
I'll be in Europe when that fight goes down.
When's it happening?
August 26th, I think.
That would be an interesting one.
Oh, it's going to be dope. It's going to be worth watching for sure. So, well, that's it for this week. I'm Fox 2. We got Pirate.
That's me. I am Pirate.
And Topher.
That's me. I am Topher.
See ya.